Hello and welcome back to the Clinton Victory Election Series, Episode 5, The Imminent Rematch. It's a new year for the Clinton administration, and let's take a look at her approval rating. It is negative 20, only 39% of Americans approve of President Clinton as of right now, with only 35% of independents and third-party voters supporting her as of right now. We also have some other news to take a look at. Businessman Donald Trump, the 2016 Republican nominee, has announced that he will be running for president again in 2020. What many are calling the 2020 election revenge tour, as he's been doing primarying Republicans and endorsing candidates for competitive Republican races. Donald Trump, as expected, will be running for president in the 2020 election. Joseph Vottel, the Secretary of Defense, will be resigning from his position as Secretary of Defense, and President Clinton has announced that Army Secretary Christine Wormuth will become the Defense Secretary as the Senate confirms her, or after her hearings, if the Senate does confirm her. The Secretary of the Interior, Pat Williams, has resigned from his post. We are getting a lot of resignations from the Clinton administration right now as her approval continues to dip. And she has named the Deputy Secretary of the Interior, Tommy Beaudreau, to succeed Pat Williams as the Secretary of the Interior. And Kurt Tidd has resigned from his position as Chief of Staff, and he will be replaced by former North Carolina Congressman Heath Shuler. He will be the next Chief of Staff. He does not need a confirmation vote. He has automatically become the Chief of Staff under the Clinton administration. We can now make another candidate has jumped into the Republican primary. Former Massachusetts Governor Bill Weld and the 2016 vice presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party, Bill Weld, has announced that he will be running for president. There have been many, anti-Trump Republicans saying that they would run if Trump decided to run because they don't believe he is the best choice. And Bill Weld, there has been a lot of speculation around Bill Weld, whether he'll run or not, but it seems like he will be running against Donald Trump in the primary. We can now make another big call for the presidency. California Congressman David Valadao has announced that he will be running for president again. He won re-election in a blue district by a very large margin in the 2018 midterms, and David Valadao has announced that he does plan on running for president in 2020. CIA officer and independent candidate in 2016, Evan McMullin, has announced that he will be running for president, however this time as a Republican, saying that Donald Trump is what caused the Republican Party to lose in the 2016 election. Excuse me. And he doesn't need to be the nominee again, and he would do a lot better than Hillary Clinton than he would as the nominee. Former Congressman Adam Kinzinger launches a bid for the presidency. Adam Kinzinger, one of the many Republicans Donald Trump endorsed primary challenges to in 2018. Kinzinger lost his primary bid against Mary Miller. However, he is now launching a comeback, I guess you could say, to run against Donald Trump in the primary. Here is President Clinton's approval rating. She has dropped her approval rating down 4 points. She now has a 37% approval rating across the country. She needs to do something to boost her approval rating up. If not, she could lose in a landslide, as history does tend to say. We also have news out of Texas that Texas congressman, one of the few members of Congress that Donald Trump failed to primary out, he survived his primary challenge. Will Hurd will be running for president against Donald Trump, a big-named Republican in the House, a pretty senior member of the House. He will be a tough challenge for Donald Trump, it seems like. We can also say that the Senate has narrowly confirmed Christine Wormuth to become the Secretary of Defense. As you can see here, 51 A's to 49 nays. Tommy Beaudreau has been confirmed to become the Interior Secretary by the Senate. Also a very narrow vote, 51 to 49. He has been confirmed, however. We can now make an announcement that South Carolina Congressman, another Congressman Donald Trump failed the primary out, Mark Sanford, has launched his bid for the presidency. He will be challenging Donald Trump in 2020 along with multiple other candidates. Former Governor of New Jersey Christine Todd Whitman has announced that she will be running for president after years of speculation. Christine Todd Whitman has been doing fundraisers in New Hampshire, Iowa, Nevada, and South Carolina, and she has now made it clear that she will be running for president in 2020. Former Illinois Congressman Joe Walsh, who lost his re-election bid in 2012 against Tammy Duckworth, surprisingly. Joe Walsh will be running for president against Donald Trump, saying that he created Donald Trump and he's ashamed of what Donald Trump has become, targeting his fellow Republicans. He is actually challenging Donald Trump from the right, unlike many of his competitors who are challenging him from the left. Andrew Yang has resigned from his position as Labor post. This is after multiple reports of him having frustrations with the Clinton administration. And there are now reports coming in that he is considering a presidential bid against Hillary Clinton in 2020. We'll just have to wait and find out if Andrew Yang does end up running for president or not. But Hillary Clinton has named Labor Solicitor Seema Nanda to replace him as its Labor Secretary. We'll just have to wait to see if the Senate approves her. Here's President Clinton's approval rating. She has a 35% approval rating now. Her numbers are just gradually dropping. California businesswoman Meg Whitman has announced that she will be running for president in 2020. She has launched her first campaign for the White House, and hypothetical polling, she is polling at around 9%, sometimes 11%, just depends. But she is polling pretty high for a candidate right now with a low name recognition. Seema Nanda has been confirmed to become the Labor Secretary by the House with another narrow vote, 51 to 49. She will become the next Secretary of the Labor under the Clinton administration. Ben Shapiro has announced that he will be running for president in 2020. He's announcing that Donald Trump failed the Republican Party in 2016. Why does he need to be the nominee again? And, it seems like there's not many neoconservatives, not many Reagan Republicans who will stick it to him, but he will stick it to him with facts and logic. Here's President Clinton's approval rating. Her approval rating continually dropping. She now has a 33% approval rating right now. With a double Republican Congress, there's nothing Hillary Clinton could do, not much anyway, to boost her approval. So she's going to have to do a lot right now to boost her approval before the election next year. Wyoming Congresswoman, another member of Congress that Donald Trump failed to primary out in 2018, Liz Cheney has announced that she will be running for president in 2020. However, due to the baggage of being related to former Vice President Dick Cheney, she will have a tough road ahead of her if she wants to win the nomination. Christy Canigalo will be resigning from her position as Secretary of Homeland Security, and President Clinton has named Robert Silvers to replace her in that position. Kennedy has resigned from her post as the Small Business Administrator, and President Clinton has named the U.S. Treasurer Rosa Rios to replace her as Small Business Administrator. Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker has announced that he will be running for president against Donald Trump. One of the bigger names to run against Donald Trump, probably his most formidable opponent right now. Charlie Baker might be able to make Donald Trump sweat in the Northeast. And with so many candidates, it seems like they're rather planning a contested convention rather than a actual pathway to beat Donald Trump. And look at this news right here. Former Labor Secretary Andrew Yang has announced that he will be issuing a primary challenge against Hillary Clinton. Andrew Yang says that Hillary Clinton has done nothing for the people of the United States and that he will put humanity first and will, and has of course talked about some of his, key issues such as a universal basic income, getting people, back into jobs, fixing the automotive problem in our country. And it seems like he's got a huge start right now as he is currently polling at 26% against Hillary Clinton in hypothetical polling, which is good news for Andrew Yang, for someone who has only held the position of Labor Secretary. President Clinton has announced that she will be running for re-election. This comes 10 days after Andrew Yang announced a primary challenge. When asked about Andrew Yang, Hillary Clinton said that kind of dismissed the question, dismissed Andrew Yang as a serious contender, which may or may not backfire against her. We'll just have to wait and find out. Here's President Clinton's approval rating. It seems as announcing her re-election bid and talking about some of the things she did do as president kind of gave her a boost in her approval rating, as she now has a 37% approval rating across the country. Not good, but it seems like she's starting to gain a little bit more support in the country. Nebraska Senator Ben Sasse, another big-named contender, has announced that he will be running for president in 2020. Probably another serious challenger to Donald Trump may hurt Donald Trump in some states like Iowa, as Ben Sasse will be able to appeal to some of the rural voters in the state, as he is pretty strong with rural voters. Robert Silvers has been confirmed to become the Homeland Secretary as a vote to 51 to 49, a very close vote, as you can see here. Rosa Rios has also been confirmed to become the Small Business Administrator. 51 votes, as you can see, most of the Republicans voting are coming from the Rust Belt that confirmed to vote for her. Miami-Dade Mayor Carlos Jimenez has announced that he will be running for president against Donald Trump. Someone who could actually challenge Donald Trump in his second home state, Florida, which this will be interesting. However, Donald Trump did defeat Marco Rubio in the 2016 primary in Florida, so we'll just have to see how Carlos Jimenez does against Donald Trump in Florida. We'll just have to wait and find out. Kanye West has announced that he will be running for president as a Republican. There has been speculation for years. Back in 2015, he announced he'd be running in 2020, and he says that he is still running. However, we didn't know if he was running as a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent, and he has now announced that he will be running as a Republican this time around, challenging Donald Trump in the primary along with multiple other contenders. Here is President Clinton's approval rating. Her approval rating continued to spike upwards. She now has a 39% approval rating across the country. Whatever she's doing it effectively, as, I guess, campaigning of bringing out support. People are now starting to like her more as she's now spending time with Americans. This is probably helping her approval rating right now. Meghan McCain to join PAC's 2020 primary field on the GOP side. Meghan McCain, a staunch anti-Trump Republican, has announced that she will be running against him. She's another big name in the primary field, hoping to stop Donald Trump's momentum into winning the nomination. President Clinton has increased sanctions on Iran. This is another popular thing that she has been doing in her entire presidency, which has been increasing sanctions on multiple countries that have been, abusing our small businesses, and President Clinton is continuing to do so against Iran. And President Clinton's approval rating has taken a huge bump due to this, and she now has a 46% approval rating. Her approval is just skyrocketing right now as the 2020 campaign season is ramping up. Maryland Governor Larry Hogan has announced that he will be running for president in 2020, probably Donald Trump's strongest opponent in this primary season so far. Larry Hogan will be one tough opponent for Donald Trump to beat, especially in the Northeast, as that is Larry Hogan's bread and butter. Michigan Congressman Justin Amash to launch a White House bid against Donald Trump, saying that Donald Trump, if he were to become president, would be a lot worse than Hillary Clinton when it comes to government overreach, and he doesn't trust Trump anywhere near the White House. Taking a libertarian approach to this presidential run, we'll just have to wait and see where this goes. Here's President Clinton's approval rating. Her approval rating is starting to dip back down a bit, as she now only has a 42% approval rating across the country. Martin Heinrich has announced that he will be resigning from his intelligence post, and in reports that he will be running for Senate again in 2020, as Tom Udall has announced that he will be retiring from his seat. Martin Heinrich is considering a run for the other Senate seat in 2020. And it has been announced that Hillary Clinton is naming former Housing Secretary Julian Castro to become the Intelligence Director. This is unexpected, but Julian Castro is seeming to get a bunch of support from a few Republicans in the Senate. Mayor Bill de Blasio of New York City has announced that he will be challenging Hillary Clinton, and he's seeming to challenge her from the left, when Andrew Yang is kind of challenging her from, a little bit from the center, a little bit from the left, kind of a mixture of the two. Bill de Blasio is staunchly to the left of Hillary Clinton, and he says he's bringing bold progressive ideas to the Democrat Party, challenging Hillary Clinton, who has squashed progressives in her administration and in this country. We now have our first withdrawal from the primary season, and that is Christine Whitman, former New Jersey governor, has announced that she will be withdrawing from the 2020 field, as she has been polling in 4 to 5% terribly this entire season, and her fundraising numbers aren't as good as she has hoped, and she is now withdrawing from the race. Here's President Clinton's approval rating. Her approval rating continuing to dip. She now has a 40% approval rating in the country. Not good at all for her hopes in this in the campaign for the 2020 election. West Virginia Governor Jim Justice has announced that he will be primarying Hillary Clinton in 2016. And he will be challenging her from the right, as opposed to Andrew Yang, who's challenging her from the center, Bill de Blasio challenging her from the left. So she has a challenge from each part of the political spectrum. Jim Justice, a populist blue dog Democrat, is announcing a run, probably someone Hillary Clinton has to watch out for, as, you know, he is actually polling at around 30% to Hillary Clinton's 50%, with Andrew Yang being at like 13% and Bill de Blasio in single digits. This is not good for Hillary Clinton. She is facing 3 pretty big primary opponents. Julian Castro has been confirmed to become the intelligence director by the Senate. As you can see here, multiple Southern Republicans has announced their support for Castro, which is enough to get him over the finish line. Another withdrawal, someone who we considered a major contender against Donald Trump, Will Hurd, has announced he will be withdrawing from the primary field to focus on re-election efforts, as he is facing multiple primary challenges. No one has been endorsed by Donald Trump yet, but he is looking heavily into a primary challenge to Will Hurd, or, well, now a primary challenge, someone just to replace him, but now it's a primary challenge. Will Hurd withdrawing from the Republican field. Here is Hillary Clinton's approval rating. She is now under 40% again, with a 38% approval rating across the country. Not doing fairly well. However, she had around a 38% approval rating at the 2020 election, so anything is possible, I guess. Joe Walsh, another prominent Republican who was challenging Donald Trump in the primary, has announced that he will be withdrawing from the 2020 field due to fundraising numbers. However, he is actually endorsing Donald Trump, saying that he was wrong about Trump. He spoke with Trump, as there were reports that he was speaking with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and he has announced that he will be endorsing Donald Trump for the election again. Here's Hillary Clinton's numbers as of right now. She has bumped back up to a 40% approval rating, which is good for her campaign. If she were to keep this, go higher, she might win the election. We also have news that Adam Kinzinger will be withdrawing from the 2020 field. His fundraising numbers have been piss poor. He hasn't even registered at 1% in the polls in months. This is good riddance for many voters, as he isn't really wanted. And William Hobby Jr. has resigned as Secretary of the Energy, and he will be replaced by Deputy Secretary David Turk. Former Tennessee Senator Bob Corker has announced that he will be running. This is a very late entry into the race, but Bob Corker will be running for president against Donald Trump. And now we have Decision 2019. It is now 7 p.m. and the following states have poll closings. Out of Kentucky, Matt Bevin is currently running for re-election against Andy Beshear, the Attorney General of Kentucky. Matt Bevin currently leading by 9 points as of right now. It is currently too close to call. It is now 7:30 p.m. We can now make a projection out of the Kentucky governor race, so we can now make the projection that Matt Bevin will go on to defeat Andy Beshear, and he will go on to win re-election, defeating him by around 9 points. As you can see here, a very close election for a state like Kentucky. Andy Beshear was a strong competitor. Matt Bevin was kind of a dick, which is why it was so close, but Matt Bevin was still able to win re-election nonetheless. It's now 8 p.m. We can now have poll closings right now. We actually have a call out of the state of Mississippi, and that is Tate Reeves will be elected the governor of Mississippi, the lieutenant governor now becoming the governor, as he will defeat Jim Hood by 15 points, which is a big win for Republicans, which is kind of a break-even race for Republicans in the state of Mississippi, as they typically win by around 15 to 18 points. Tate Reeves will be defeating Jim Hood by around 15 points. It is now 9 p.m. We can now have poll closings out of Louisiana. And as you can see here, Eddie Raspone is currently leading Governor John Bel Edwards by around 7 points right now, 7 to 8 points right now. This could be a big win for Republicans if they were to defeat a popular governor like John Bel Edwards. It's now 10 p.m. We can now make a projection out of the Louisiana governor race. This is going to be big news for Republicans. Eddie Raspone will be defeating John Bel Edwards in this race, flipping Louisiana's governor race. This is a red wave in 2019, another red wave year for Republicans. Eddie Raspone, Donald Trump's endorsed picked candidate, has won this seat, and he will be defeating John Bel Edwards by around 6 percentage points, a big win for Eddie Raspone. Former Arizona Senator Jeff Flake has announced that he will be running, that says 2024, that's supposed to say 2020, for the 2020 GOP nomination, another anti-Trump Republican candidate. It seems like the Republican establishment is throwing as many candidates as they can at Donald Trump to hopefully have a contested convention. David Valadao has announced that he will be withdrawing from the 2020 primary field. Another Hispanic Republican has announced that he will be withdrawing. First Will Hurd, now David Valadao, and he will be focusing his efforts on winning re-election to his House seat, as he does have primary challengers. Businesswoman Carly Fiorina to run for president again. Candidate in 2016, Carly Fiorina did not endorse Donald Trump. She was one of the few candidates who didn't. Donald Trump tried to, mend ties with her in the 2018 election season, but unlike John Kasich, he couldn't do it. Carly Fiorina will now be running for president against Donald Trump in the 2020 primary. President Clinton has signed the PACT Act, which is Prevention of Animal Cruelty and Torture Act. This is a pretty popular act between both Republicans and Democrats. As you can see here, 95 senators, has announced their support for this and have passed this bill, with only 5 Republicans vetoing it. That's Tom Cotton, Chris McDaniel, Jeff Sessions, Cindy Hyde-Smith, as well as Don Blankenship. Those 5 Republicans said that they would not support that bill. It is now December 1st, the final month of 2019, and Hillary Clinton has an even approval rating across the country, a 49% approval rating, due to her signing the PACT Act, which is very popular. Democrats were rallying against this, that this is needed for animal health care in this country, and she's, her approval rating has skyrocketed. She hasn't had approval this high since, she became president, which is good news for her. If she can continue to ride this momentum into 2020, she might be able to win re-election narrowly. And we also have news that Bill Weld has withdrawn from the 2020 field. Fundraising was poor for him. However, he has endorsed Justin Amash for the White House. David Turk has also been confirmed by the Senate to become Energy Secretary. As you can see here, a very narrow vote here. Ben Shapiro has withdrawn from the 2020 field, and he has actually endorsed Donald Trump, surprisingly, the second person to do so. Mark Sanford has announced that he will be withdrawing from the 2020 field. However, he has also announced that he will not be running for re-election to his House seat, surprisingly. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. We have one more video. We'll be covering the events of 2020, and then we'll be doing the 2020 primaries, and then the 2020 election. So thank you guys so much for watching. This is the Chaotic One saying, peace.